Hey guys, Zero here. Just wanted to show you, we're going to do a quick sneak peek of the Dungeons and Dragons, the visual history. I'm going ahead and get this to the table for you guys. It's actually a pretty heavy book, pretty cool. This is actually the Barnes & Noble exclusive. But we'll get right into it. Alright, sit tight. Hey guys, Zero here. Just wanted to give you guys a quick history lesson. Get on the table. It's my cat. About one of my other hobbies. One of my old hobbies. I started playing this game, Dungeons and Dragons, back in 1988. I believe I was like a sophomore in high school, freshman in high school, something like that. My buddy Brian, my best friend, my oldest friend Brian, he went to a different school, so we went to different high schools. I went one right by my neighborhood. He went one, closer to him. He met someone who was into Dungeons and Dragons, or at least had the main big red box. And they met, and he tried it out, and he said he liked it, and he called me. He said, "Hey, you want to come over and try it?" So I went over to this guy's house, and we made our characters. I think Brian made a cleric, and I think I made a fighter, because there was only a few classes in the book. And then we went on the first adventure in the book, which was like, you crawl through a dungeon, and I think it was a carry-on crawler that you encounter. And, back then there were huge challenges at first level. So it was pretty cool. And I actually went on to hang out with these guys more, and my buddy Andy, he's a good friend of mine too, and his brother Greg, and we grew up together and stuff like that through high school and all that stuff. But the whole time we were all playing D&D on our weekends off, whatever we weren't doing with the family or whoever. So it was good times, we've been playing on and off. I've been playing on and off since '88, so, I've gone through first edition, second edition, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, second edition, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, 3.0, 3.5, which was my favorite. I actually started GMing between 3 and 3.5. Actually did it before, I tried it before with Oriental Adventures. But then I really got into my own with 3 and 3.5. And then 4 came out, and I kind of got discouraged because I really didn't like 4. It was very catering, but whatever. So 5th edition is out now, and I haven't tried it yet because the last campaign I ran was 3.5, and it stopped like a while ago. But I still have all the books and stuff like that. But 5 is out, and I want to give it a try. So I'm going to do a series on Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Maybe a couple unboxings, but mainly just kind of my experience with it as a player, as a GM, maybe some tips and advice kind of for new players and new GMs, things like that. Things you might need, might not need, things you could do without. Obviously, there's tons of videos out there with this content, but, I'm just going to give you my perspective. For the people that are following me, or, whoever, if you want to share this video with some friends just to get started, I'll do a get started video and all that kind of cool stuff. So you stick with me through the series. We'll call it Dungeons and Dragons, my journey or whatever. But this thing here is really cool. I picked this up at Barnes & Noble. It was $50 retail, but with Barnes & Noble, if you join the book club, it's free to join. I think it's free to join, but then you pay a membership fee at the end of the year or something like that. And it's not much. It's like, I think at the most it's $20. But the nice thing is throughout the year you'll get 20% off coupons. Maybe a little more, maybe 30% towards the holidays off of any one item in the store. So I got the coupon for 20% off, so it was a pretty good deal. And this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive. I haven't seen the collector's edition. I've seen the box, but I haven't opened the collector's edition, so I don't know what's in there, and I don't know what's in the regular one. I just know what's in this book. And I think it's a really cool book. I love art books. I collect art books. If you guys want to see more, I have Tron, Pirates of the Caribbean, Lord of the Rings, all different types of art from movies, different art books. I'm an artist, so I used to love to draw. I still do from time to time. But yeah, art has always been in my life ever since I was, kindergartner. So I have a ton of these art books. So if you guys want to see some, let me know in the comments below. If you like it, if you don't, either way, I'm going to show it to you anyway. So this is the art of, it's called the Dungeons and Dragons Art Arcana. It was, it's a visual history. It was done by Michael Whitwer, Kyle Newman, John Peterson, Sam Whitman. Okay. Now anybody who knows D&D history, Gary Gygax and his friends created Dungeons and Dragons a long time ago. They made they made rules for use with their miniatures that they used to play with. They used to play tabletop miniature war games, but they got tired of the mundane back and forth, I kill you, you kill me, type thing. And so they came up with rules to go on adventures and stuff, and that's where it all started. Everybody knows the story, and if you don't, look it up. There's a whole great YouTube video on it, and there's a couple videos on it that are really good. The Dungeon Forge video is really good, stuff like that. But this book has got collaboration of a lot of art that was presented for Dungeons and Dragons throughout the years, from the very beginning all the way up until now. The things you see on the covers, the art you see inside the books, the modules, the adventure modules that they create, the maps. I love maps. I'm a big map person. This is what I draw now mainly, and I do this for our miniature wargaming. When I design a table or a tabletop, I use this grid, and I use the same process to design a tabletop. So that's another hint for another time. We'll go over that in the next one. But you can see, like, some of this art, the art has become so amazing. I know people use computers now for it and stuff like that, and Photoshop. I'm old school. I like pencil and pen, but that's just me. I'm only going to show you guys a few pictures. I'm not going to go through the whole book, just because I picked a couple pictures that I really fancy, and I think they're really well done. And I'm not a super artist critique or anything like that. I just know what I like and I know what I don't like. There's things visually that I appreciate, things that I just, it's okay. I know all art takes time, and the artists take a long time. They're underpaid, but like I said, I just want to give you guys a quick look. If it's something you don't have in your collection of books, I think you should have it. If you're a D&D fan, if you're an art fan, if you're a fantasy art fan, give it a shot. It's a really good book. It's got a great history of Gygax and all his adventures and his misadventures with this game and with this publishing. All the things that he had to go through to kind of... It's like, I don't need to go out, dude. I got D&D. I know there's a lot of us out there that went through that. But nonetheless, like I said, it's a cool book. I'm glad I bought it. I wasn't going to originally, but I decided, I'm going to have it in my collection for art. Now this picture right here, I believe, and I'm not going to read anything. I actually haven't gone through the whole book. I got a quarter left of the book to read through, because I'm actually reading it as I'm going, and I take my time. But this, I believe, was the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook cover. And I always like this cover, even though it's really dated, like the style of art is dated and the color palette and everything. I always liked this cover because it started, the covers gave you a sense of scale sometimes, and it gave you a sense of like perception in the world. It's a game of the mind originally. It was a game of the mind. You had to imagine everything that the Dungeon Master described. You had to be able to put those pieces together that he gave you to imagine what things would look like, how they were shaped, what color was fire, things like that, and it was all about your imagination. So these pictures gave you the element of constructing that visual cue, which was awesome. That's what inspires you to play more and to envelop your character in a story and keep him, keep them going. Now here's another one. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but it's a black and white. They actually have artists who actually drew in the covers for some of the artist covers and things like that. They actually went in the book and actually gave their opinion about their favorite art piece that they did, which is kind of cool, because it's kind of like like this one here. This is a black and white unicorn, probably drawn for the first subscriptions of Dungeons and Dragons, which were like leaflets that they had. They were like just paper plain leaflets with drawings in them, and this was one of the descriptions, I think, of a unicorn. Don't quote me on it. You're gonna have to read the book. But yeah, they picked this picture because it was one of their early renditions of this creature, and she really liked the result. you know, and a lot of people did apparently. So, you know, it's really cool to see that type of stuff too, you know, to see that what they think is their best work, which, you know, some of us are like, nah. So I picked this one, I'll show you, because it's a giant map, and I wanted to just kind of emphasize mapping in Dungeons & Dragons, you know, like, we didn't do it at first. When we first started playing, we didn't map. I actually did on the back of my character sheet. I would draw little squares, because he would tell me, okay, this is how far, you know, 1 square is 5 feet, you know, that's how far you can reach when you're fighting. So I would try to draw out a map of whatever it was we were encountering. And, you know, a lot of times I ruined my character sheets because I fucking shit ton of pencil marks everywhere and eraser marks, and you know how it is. You got to do a new character sheet and stuff like that. But this is the kind of stuff that would inspire me, you know, to do this type of thing. Cartography is difficult, but it's so amazing. I have tons of Dungeons & Dragons maps, tons of sci-fi maps, just because this is where it started. You know, I saw this type of stuff, and I was like, holy crap, I want to do that. You know, that's what, I want to make those things. This is the original artwork that inspired the cover for the original Red Box book. You know, this is it right here. The dragon, the hero facing the dragon, his party trying to save him or help, the wizards helping as well, you know. And it just evokes so much imagination. Like, what was it like in that cave? Was it, you know, I mean, it's obviously hot because red dragons, you know, they're fire and all that stuff. And, you know, it's a great picture of a dragon. Granted, a dated picture of a dragon to me, but it's still it evokes so much imagination and so much mystery. Like, did they make it? Did they defeat that? I mean, this stuff doesn't look very spectacular, but did they do it? Did they escape? Did they steal something? What happened? You know, I've had my encounters with red dragons in D&D games. I've actually ran an encounter with red dragon in D&D game, and I tried to make it as epic as possible, because that is an epic creature. That's a creature that is in the title, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's the quintessential big bad monster, you know. But that's the kind of thing that cover evoked. And there's the cover there. You know, that's all you got. But you know, you see all that really happened in this picture. So it was awesome. You know what I mean? These artists were fantastic for not having references, or slight, you know, maybe some references, you know, to the medieval fantasy world and stuff like that. But I mean, they created a huge world for us. I like this picture because this is the actual cover for the original Oriental Adventures Player's Handbook. And that's the first campaign I ever ran for my friends. Usually my buddy Brian was our GM, and I learned so much playing his games. And there were times where I was frustrated. I'd get my character killed, or people would get characters killed, and we'd end the campaign. 2-3 weeks later, we'd start up again, you know. And Brian was at the forefront. He was there. He was ready. He had adventures planned. He enveloped us in worlds that we didn't want to go away from. It sounds crazy, you know. And they say it's addicting or whatever, you know. And this was back when it was voodoo. This was back when, you know, his mother, true story. We came home from high school one time, and his mother had all his books on the floor by the stairs. And she was going to burn them, like literally burn the books. She had matches, she had lighter fluid, and we were like, what are you doing? And she's like, this is devil worship, this is evil, I don't want this in my house. And it took us hours to talk her down from burning these books. It was crazy. You know, it was weird. But that's we were D&Ding when D&Ding wasn't cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, now it's cool thanks to Stranger Things. And that's cool. You know, everybody's exposed to it. I have friends at work who just started playing it. Hopefully they're still playing it. I don't know, Grant, if you're still playing. But hopefully they are. You know, it's a great game. But this was my first foray into dungeon mastering. And I gotta say, I owe it to my buddy Brian, because he gave me so many tools, and not material tools, not books, not numbers, not stats. He gave me so many tools to run a campaign successfully, that the people I ran for, when I started running my own campaign in regular Dungeons & Dragons, Forgotten Realms, they didn't want to stop playing. They got to 20th level and they didn't want to stop. They wanted to keep going. And I didn't have anything for epic level characters. So I said, well, we'll do something else. We'll start again in a little while. And we haven't done it yet, but I still get requests. You know, I'm not the greatest GM, but I like doing it. This picture is, I want to say it's the Eye of Vecna. It's got the eye there. I chose this picture because I wanted to show the scope, you know, of things. I love dragons, you know, so there's another dragon. Another ambiguous dragon, though. And I say that, well, this one's more like the definition of the red dragon now that we have, but, you know, and I'll get to that in a minute. But this was an Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. You know, we played the Eye of Vecna campaign. We didn't do so well, but we did it, you know. It was fun. You know, you stay up late night, you're drinking pop, you're drinking, you know, you're eating Cheetos, and you're just having a good time rolling dice, man. It's a great social experience for anybody who, you know, if you don't know you fit in, you don't know where you fit in, give it a try. Socially, I mean, give it a try. Just to meet people and see how other people think. This game forces you to work together. You know, it creates team bonding, teamwork, you know, social interaction. It creates social connection. You know, it helps you understand social etiquette. You know, also gives you quick, you know, quick reference math skills. You know, you're rolling dice to do calculations for damage, hit points, spells. That's all quick math. And then it's funny because I'm not great at math. I'm actually terrible at math. But because of games like this and games like Warhammer 40K, you learn to do quick math fast. Like you're rolling 60 dice in 40K, and you're doing those numbers, and it's boom, 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 20 hits. You have to make 20 saves. You know, and you don't even realize it until you go home and start playing a regular board game, and you're like, I gotta roll this dice, and it's like one die. And you're like, I got a 6, yay. You know? But yeah, I really like the dynamic of this artwork, and it's very detailed. But you guys really, if you get the chance, pick up this book. And here's what I meant by the definition of dragons. Up until 3.5 or 3.0, there were no real definition of dragons in the sense of physiology. We had colors. We had green, red, blue, black, silver, bronze, copper, purple, you know, amethyst, diamond, emerald. But we had no clear definition of what physically identified a dragon. With 3.0, they actually did that. They actually went and identified dragons per their physiology. So like black dragons have like a skull type face because of all the acid. Their horns are pointed forward to protect their face, which again, you know, they've got fins back here because they're water dwellers sometimes. White dragons have a huge crust for burrowing, you know, and they've got wide flat tails for digging, you know, through the snow and stuff like that. Things like that really helped define the dragons, you know. The blue dragon, again, another horn in front for burrowing. I think they changed the perception of the green dragon. I think it's actually changed again in 5. It's a little different, but pretty much the same thing. The red dragon has a clear, definite physical definition now, and I love that. I love the way they look. Each one of these dragons has a very unique look, you know, so it's not like I draw a dragon and just color it blue and then color it, you know, draw the same picture and color it red, and they're two different dragons. Technically they are, because they're different colors, but this actually physically identifies them as a red dragon. So, you know, when you see this guy, that's a Dungeons & Dragons red dragon, and I love that. I love these dragons. I didn't get the blue one, though. I wanted to get the gargantuan blue one, but I missed it. I think I have the, no, I don't have, I have a large red dragon, they're huge. And then, we'll go here, one of the last pictures I chose. And again, you know, I just chose a few pictures because I just wanted you guys to see this stuff. I didn't want to, you know, spoil the book for you. This, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where this comes from. But that is the Grand Master of Dragons, Tiamat. She's been in the lore forever, been a challenge. At one point, she wasn't even a challenge. You couldn't fight her. She was just super powerful. You can fight her now, but I believe she's a god now, so maybe not. But she's got one of each of the chromatic heads, so white, blue, red, green, and black. But I just wanted to show you guys just the dynamic art. I mean, that's just horrifying. You know, in the game, you just, I mean, look at what she looked like initially. You see what I mean by ambiguous? Those dragons look like snakes with horns. You know, these look like dragons. You know, and you can, you know, you guys who like Game of Thrones, you guys who like Lord of the Rings, all that stuff, man. You know, all that stuff. Yeah, it's all Tolkien-esque. This is all Tolkien-esque. you know, because he technically created the dragons, right? Like, or something like that. I mean, dragons were around in mythology before that, but Tolkien, like, really solidified them, you know, in the way they, I mean, his way of creating dragons and things like that, that's a whole different story. But these guys here, man, that's it, you know. But yeah, that's the art book. Yeah, there's the back cover. See, there's some more covers of the artwork. Again, I don't regret this purchase. I think that any good collector of art books of any kind, of movies, video games, you know, and this game has transcended all levels. You know, you've got the paper game, you've got the computer version, you've got video game versions, you've got movies made. Granted, they weren't great. They weren't great movies, but they're there. You know, you've got podcasts now, you've got vlogs, you've got tons of people, you know, being creative, and just, you know, people who grew up doing this, who are actually in the industry creating this. And that's just amazing to me. Like, they're making maps that you can buy and put on your campaign. You know, they're making miniatures and things like that. That's just, it just, you know, and they're all kids who played Dungeons and Dragons, you know, kids who got, you know, they were the outcasts, the nerds, or the geeks, or whatever you want to call them back in the day. You know, not even that. Sometimes they were kids who were just bored, didn't have nothing to do. You know, I had friends, I was popular, I'd go out, you know, I'd do stuff, hang out, play softball, whatever. But there was times when I just wanted to relax and chill, and D&D was there. So, like I said, this is the start of a series of videos I'm going to do for Dungeons and Dragons. Hopefully, you know, you'll glean something from it, you know, and I hope that I can share my knowledge and my experience. I don't want to say wisdom, you know, because I'm not all wise, but my experience with Dungeons and Dragons with you. And hopefully you guys will appreciate it. And, you know, maybe pick up a book yourself, you know, or, you know, most of the books are, you can find them free online. I know it's not cool to, you know, pirate stuff. But you guys know my stance on recasts, so hey, find it if you can. You only need paper and pen, or paper and pencil. You know, maybe some dice. So the biggest purchase you'll make is dice, because everybody's got paper somewhere in the house. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's notebook paper. I use notebook paper, you know, so might as well take a chance, give it a shot, and like I said, get a group of friends, you know, and roll some dice, bitches. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.